In the wake of the horrific, indiscriminate attacks in Paris, lots of people are asking, why? While it might be palatable to think of ISIS simply as an irrational, bloodthirsty death cult, that's just not the case. Those murderers knew exactly what they were doing. They were killing for a cause, driven by strategic objectives. First, there's polarization. ISIS craves intercommunal hate. The Paris attackers knew full well that every bullet they shot and suicide belt they triggered would fuel the fires of the far right, stoking anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant hatred. Marine Le Pen was already forecast to do well in France's upcoming regional elections. The rise of her far-right nationalist brand will only add weight to the us versus them feeling that ISIS trades off. Second, there's intimidation. ISIS did this wanting to scare people everywhere. By pulling the blanket of security out from beneath people's feet, the group forces public anxiety to fever pitch, makes people demand drastic, visible government responses that could end up being counterproductive in the long term. Third, there's military escalation. ISIS is not stupid. Things which seem counterproductive to us are beneficial to them. That these attacks will cause an escalation in the West's operations against them is no coincidence. Yes, more anti-ISIS pressure will harm the group, practically speaking, but it will also lend it credibility and legitimacy among other jihadis. Then there's inspiration. The Paris attacks were unjustifiable and abhorrent, but for supporters of the group, they're an act of brazen defiance, standing up to the supposed global conspiracy against Sunni Islam. As such, they're a rallying call, an unambiguous expression of jihadist triumphalism. Finally, the Paris attacks are about image. Lately, things haven't been going so well for ISIS in Syria, Iraq and Libya. As a jihadi iteration of the utopian caliphate, ISIS cannot be seen to be on the back foot. What better way to kickstart its momentum than lashing out in distant lands with high-profile attacks? Whatever the case, we, publics, governments, police and security services must do all we can to avoid reacting in exactly the way ISIS wants us to. That's a big ask, but it's critical that we don't hand them what they want on a plate. We mustn't respond with hatred or with badly thought out military reactions, but with defiance and unity in the face of their attempts to tear our societies apart.
Can you remember the first time you heard about the Islamic State? For me, it was when Mosul fell in June 2014.
Tonight, Islamist rebels captured the major city of Mosul after its defence.
Along with millions of people all around the world, I watched ISIS grow in power.